Oprah can't save you, nobody can save you.
Yes.
I mean, if Jesus Christ came down and said, hey, Oprah, I'll take it from here. What the hell? Oh, no, I'm back. And then we'll leave.
This is somebody that bailed out felons, and she said, I mean, again, she's got different rules than the people that she rules over.
But this is the thing, and I'm going to get serious for a minute, because as a gun owner, as somebody who has a carry permit, that is the worst answer to give to that question. And this is the person that wants to take away my gun.
In a spectacle that left Fox News hosts bewildered and critical, Vice President Kamala Harris participated in a star-studded virtual rally hosted by media mogul Oprah Winfrey. The event, designed to bolster Harris's campaign and appeal to voters, instead became a target for intense scrutiny and mockery from conservative commentators. The involvement of Oprah Winfrey, a cultural icon with a history of influencing public opinion, was seen by Fox News hosts as a desperate attempt to salvage Harris's image. Greg Gutfeld of The Five provided a particularly colorful assessment of the dynamics at play.
But when you're watching that, you have to pay attention to Oprah's face. You saw a look of pain, like she's trying to figure out in real time, how do you manage this train wreck? It was friendly. There was no question it was friendly, but it was like she was talking to somebody that she wanted to break free from at a party, and you're sitting on the couch, and let's say your friend left you with his wife, and she might be a little drunk, and you're kind of like going, yep, okay, got to get going. And it was all on Oprah's face.
This vivid description encapsulated the host's view that even Oprah's considerable star power and interviewing skills were insufficient to overcome what they perceived as Harris's shortcomings. The rally, which featured A-list celebrities like Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, and Ben Stiller, was seen by Fox News hosts as an attempt to connect with voters through star power rather than substance. Ainsley Earhart of Fox and Friends didn't mince words.
The truth doesn't matter. This is all propaganda, and propaganda seems to rule. And what they want to do is take Americans' money, hardworking Americans' money, and they want to increase taxes, and they want to take your money. And this is why the Teamsters did not endorse Kamala Harris. They all hate Donald Trump at all costs. And they bring in Hollywood, they bring in Julia Roberts, they bring in Bryan Cranston, Chris Rock, Meryl Streep. People are tired of hearing from celebrities because they're not relatable. They are the coastal elites.
The hosts argued that this celebrity-driven approach highlighted the disconnect between the Harris campaign and everyday Americans struggling with economic concerns. Throughout their coverage, Fox News hosts repeatedly emphasized the economic challenges facing American families, contrasting these real-world issues with what they perceived as Harris's vague and unsatisfactory responses. Brian Kilmeade pointed out,
A new Fox News poll showing that the majority of voters believe high prices for groceries, housing, and gas are a major problem for their families.
Yep, those concerns will likely be reflected in the presidential election, which I think is coming up soon. High prices rank as the most important. Why else we would put it in bold in the prompter? That's a factor driving voters to the polls this November.
the hosts were particularly critical of Harris's response to a question about lowering the cost of living. Jesse Waters of The Five offered a scathing critique.
So she's very easy to knuckle. She's just got a glass chin. And Oprah, I wish if I could just sit down with Oprah for like 5 minutes and I'd tell her how to be a journalist. Because she's almost there.
The Fox News hosts frequently highlighted what they saw as Harris's inability to provide clear, concise answers to straightforward questions. This criticism was exemplified in their analysis of her response to a question about lowering the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries.
Tommy Lauren, an Outkick.com host, expressed her frustration with Harris's communication style.
Kamala Harris either doesn't have plans and policies, she can't recite the plans and policies given to her by whoever's constructing them, or her plans and policies are actually so bad and so unpopular that she's afraid to really explain them to the American people because it would make her unelectable. Any of those three options, unacceptable for the American people.
One moment that drew particular attention was Harris's comments about gun ownership. The vice president's statement about owning a gun and her willingness to use it for self-defense sparked a flurry of discussion and criticism. The host played a clip of Harris saying,
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun owner. I did not know that. If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later. Yeah.
Ainsley Earhart highlighted the apparent contradiction and the campaign's damage control efforts.
At one point, she said, Oprah said, I didn't realize you had a gun. And she said, absolutely, I've got a gun, and if somebody comes in the house, they're gonna get shot. And then Kamala Harris said, you know what, my staff's probably gonna have to clean that up because she realized she was being honest. She was being blunt, and she was telling the truth right there.
She was pretending to be blunt and honest.
The hosts then juxtaposed this statement with Harris's previous comments on gun control, suggesting a disconnect between her personal stance and her public policy positions. They played a clip of Harris from her time as a district attorney.
Just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
This apparent contradiction led to further criticism from the Fox News hosts, who accused Harris of flip-flopping on key issues. Ainsley Earhart suggested,
I think she's trying to be more of a Republican. She's stealing a lot of Donald Trump's policies by saying no tax on tips after he said it. Now she's saying no more fracking. Now she's saying we like the wall. Now she's saying we're going to close the border. And then she said if someone breaks into my home, you're going to get shot. Those are, after she said mandatory buyback for your guns, I'm gonna make that a mandatory buyback program. Yeah. And then she walked that back.
Despite their criticisms, the Fox News hosts acknowledged the strategic thinking behind the Oprah-hosted event. Steve Ducey explained.
The whole idea behind this is because Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are only going to do the one debate. She's not really going to do any interviews, with real news people, although you made the point, or Brian, you made the point with Bill Hemmer. She used to be a reporter. She was a reporter in Baltimore. But she was there as an activist to try to prop her up. Because what the campaign is trying to do is they're trying to get the people who are persuadable. Right now, according to the new Fox News poll, the people who support Trump and Kamala Harris, only 1% of them are movable. But there's a tiny little sliver in the middle that are undecided. And that's why they're trying to do this.
This analysis suggested that while the Fox News hosts found the event lacking in substance, they recognized its potential to reach undecided voters through non-traditional media channels. The hosts also discussed the broader implications of the event for the upcoming election. Harold Ford Jr. offered a more balanced perspective.
I like hearing candidates talk specifically about national security and economic policy and tax and spend, largely because I want to know where they stand. And then two, I think it's important for them to talk about these things because in order to have any kind of mandate to do anything, and by mandate, I mean just people understanding what you're going to do and Congress understanding what you want. You need to talk about those things.
The Fox News hosts also touched on the potential impact of the event on key voting blocs. Judge Jeanine Pirro highlighted concerns about Harris's support among certain demographics.
You know those uncommitteds that showed up not to vote for Joe Biden, to vote uncommitted? They have not committed to vote for Kamala Harris. They said they have not gotten the answers that they want. And that could affect in Michigan, in Arizona, in North Carolina, and Wisconsin.
As the 2024 presidential race intensifies, the Fox News coverage of Kamala Harris's Oprah-hosted event reveals the deep skepticism and criticism the vice president faces from conservative media. The hosts' reactions paint a picture of a candidate they view as out of touch with everyday Americans, relying on celebrity endorsements and vague promises rather than concrete policy proposals. Whether this star-studded approach will resonate with voters remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: Fox News will continue to scrutinize and challenge Harris's every move as the election draws near. As Tyrus from The Five bluntly put it, if Oprah can't save you, nobody can save you. The coming months will reveal whether Harris can overcome these criticisms and convince the American people that she's ready to lead, or if the Oprah effect will prove insufficient in swaying public opinion in her favor. With economic concerns at the forefront of voters' minds and questions about Harris's stance on key issues like gun control, the vice president faces an uphill battle in winning over skeptics and undecided voters alike. As the election approaches, the effectiveness of Harris's media strategy and her ability to articulate clear policy positions will be crucial in determining her political fate.